Are you struggling with a boss, either your current or a new one if you've been reorged, that expects you to be connected doing email and Slack, nights, weekends, basically 24/7 because they work 24/7? Well, today I'm going to talk about two key tips that I've used throughout my career to really help me set expectations and reclaim my life in the nights and the weekends. And I'm going to go through a more detailed version of this later through a live stream. So if you find the information useful, please like, subscribe, and be on the lookout for the live stream where I'll do Q&A as well. My name's Milan, and in the 30 years I've spent working my way to senior level in a Fortune 100 company, I've had to deal with my share of managers who were always on, 24/7. And I'll never forget the time when I took over a new role in a new company. I was pretty senior, and after about 6 months, summer came around, I was going to take my first 2-week vacation. And I'll never forget my boss looking at me and saying, "Oh, you're going on vacation, Milan? I think that's great. How often a day are you going to be checking your email?" And I was like, "What?" I kind of started chuckling. I mean, literally chuckling. And I said, "I'm not working remotely. I'm going on vacation. I mean, you can call me if it's an emergency. I'll have my cell, and I'm taking my laptop so I can sign paperwork, but I don't check email." And I think it's important you set those expectations because the look on his face was like they weren't used to that. They expected people, particularly senior people, to always be working. And I don't think it's healthy. And I'll go into more detail in the live stream on how to manage that expectation in more, a lot more in a lot more detail than I'm going to do today. But tip number one is really that you have to set those expectations with your manager. Like, for example, when I was going on vacation, I just told them I'm not going to do it. But one thing I learned throughout my career is that it's better to set those up front so they don't wonder if you're going to be doing it. And so you can have a quick conversation, say, "Look, I'm kind of shut off at 5. And if it's an emergency, you can call me. And I don't really check email on weekends. And if it's important, flag it. I'll get it the morning in the morning on Monday when I'm into work." That's worked out really well for me, for myself. And then also part of that tip is you don't have to answer those mails. I mean, I can tell you of all the emails I used to see over a weekend, just when I used to do it, 99.9% of them are really not critical emails that require you to work the weekend to answer them. Now, and I know, managing a manager, especially a senior one that has a ton to do, and so they do emails on the weekends. But as Dr. Phil says, and believe me, I'm no Dr. Phil, you teach people how to treat you. So if you do it, then you set the expectation that that is your normal work-life balance or lack thereof. And so that's really on you and not the manager. And if you have a manager that really expects it, then you have to renegotiate the terms of your role. Because I do think that a lot of roles, this is completely not critical to have to work the weekends and even have to check and have your mind not be able to actually recharge. So I think it's important that you set those expectations appropriately. So tip 2 is really about shutting it off. Like, you have to shut off the programs. I mean, I know they're on your phone. You carry it with you everywhere. Your alerts pop up that you have these emails. And I think shutting it off is important because I know people, even some senior people, who struggle with this. And I've had this conversation and they're like, "Well, I have to know. I have to know what's going on. I can't stand not knowing." Well, that sounds like a personal problem. And really, if you do a good job of managing your workload and kind of setting expectations, then you shouldn't have to check your email 24/7, even as a senior person. Now, I'm going to say that there are push times and times where everybody's expected to work, there's a deadline, but that's planned activity versus the always on expectation. So I hope those two quick tips have been useful to you. And if so, again, I would appreciate a like and subscribe. If you hit the notification, I'm going to do a live stream on this very shortly. And it's going to go into a lot more detail on those points, how to manage it. And also, if you're a manager, how do you actually get yourself to where you feel you don't have to do it, especially if you're taking on new workload. I hope this has been helpful. I hope everyone has a great day.